Hello, welcome.
Hello, welcome.
Hope you are healthy and happy. My name's Lemia.
My name's Josh, and today we're going to get into health and holistic health and how we're going to keep our immune system strong and vital throughout looking at East and West perspectives and how it all comes to be manifest that we get sick. So we're going to dive into that and approach everything with love and with a holistic as much a holistic health that we can share in this format.
Yes, and you can take notes. You can watch this video again, but absorb it, take it in, because we are going, like you said, it's a holistic approach. We are going to talk about the mind, about the emotions, about the physical reality we live in, and everything in between, and how this all functions and works together to create ease versus dis-ease. All right, so let's start. Rub your palms together. We always like to tune in because nothing's new under the sun, so we're all tapping into ancient wisdom and truths. And the goal is to get out of ourselves, get out of our own way, get out of our ego. Bring your hands to your heart. So close your eyes, smile, and just breathe long, deep breaths, thinking of something you're grateful for today. When you're in that attitude of gratitude, energy flows. We want to be in the flow like a river of life. Feel the sun above you. Feel the earth below you. Feel that connection to the Ra above you, the Ma below you, that harmony, balance in your heart. Go into your heart space. That's the space of the sun within us, within our own little solar systems that we have. And then orbit around that gratitude and love in your heart, creating this bright, bright light that you can put your intentions into. What would you like to receive? What brought you here today? Just see that unfolding divinely. Long, deep breaths. And take a deep breath. Hold the breath. Hold your intention in your heart. Having unshakable faith, all things happen for a reason. And exhale, let it go. We'll just tune into the universal sound of oneness, Om. One time, take a deep breath. Om. Inhale and exhale. Beautiful. Well, just a little bit of a tiny background on us before we move forward, so you know who the energy's moving through today.
And just so you know, there's a little dog down here that's the little
crunching
sound.
noises.
If you see our hands moving, you see a little cotton tail moving around, that's our little dog.
Yeah, we have a trinity happening here. So my name's Lemia, and been in holistic health since I was a child, just in my own heart, but and connected to nature since I was a child in my own heart. But really started learning deeply about it in about 2005, and found essential oils in about 2007, and never turned back. It's been a beautiful journey, both physically and spiritually and emotionally, mentally, to work with plants, to get grounded and work with them as though they were friends of mine, to help direct and redirect energy. So to me, everything is about intention and purpose and deciding we're going to be healthy, deciding we're going to be happy, and creating the life that we want to live. And these are all tools that we have. There's many, many tools we offer, but today specifically talking about aromatherapy and also looking at the mind-heart connection to everything that we do. To me, has been the most fruitful experience in my life. It's helped me to remove blocks, to create more of an alignment with who I am inside, and that's why we want to share these kind of things.
Yeah, and
Who are you?
similar journey. My name is Joshua, and similar journey. Connected when I was a child, going on little explorations out in the desert here of Southern California when I was a kid in multiple different areas and locations with my family and friends, and just really connected to plants and trees later on in high school and such, and learned about the sort of the physical science of them, and then taught a little bit of outdoor science school as well, teaching locally about the native plants and their uses. So it's always been in my field. And then later on in life, got into massage therapy and holistic health, and sort of incorporated those two worlds. And then the aromatherapy aspect really fit in well there, of utilizing the plants and the trees from all around the world and all the indigenous cultures and their uses with respect and love, and then how we can work with them here and work with really that world perspective with the plants. So it was really a good fit for me. And so here we are teaching, and Lemia is also a background in education, science, and math. So we both have this, love for teaching and sharing. So if it's worked for us, we're going to share it to the best of our ability. So that's what this day is all about.
So let's get into it. We are kind of at the end of this part of what we considered a global pandemic, but there are new strains coming in, and we talked about this. Actually, we've taught this webinar. This is the third time. Decided to video it this time, but back then it was like, okay, we're in this pandemic. Now we're kind of seeing our way out, but other countries are experiencing a different strain, and this is exactly what we're talking about and what we're going to talk about today, of why it's important to lean on nature, to lean on the resources that we've been given and provided. We definitely feel there's a time and a space for everything, for all modalities. It wouldn't be on the earth if we didn't need it in some form, or create it as a mental projection into reality if we didn't need it. So there's a time for Western medicine, there's a time for Eastern medicine, there's a time to use both, there's a time to use neither. Yes, the answer is yes. So we aren't biased one way or the other, although we tend to go more of the natural way. What is COVID-19? COVID-19 is a virus. It's a virus that enters through the nostrils, through what we call these vapor droplets. It's kind of like the same way that aromatherapy works, which is funny. But these droplets attach and get into our follicles in our nose and carry them down into our lungs. And that's where the development happens. This is the space. The chest is like the center of our life force. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But so how do we get it? We can touch the surface. We can be around an affected person who's sneezing, coughing, in the space, delivering those vapors. This is why the whole mask thing has been a thing. And every virus has kind of what we call invader cells. Invader cells will then latch on and start multiplying, trying to kill healthy cells. This is a Western approach kind of mindset of disease, in that we are healthy, harmonious beings, and the thing that is the illness is coming from the outside, entering in, and it's attacking us. That is one perspective, and we appreciate all perspectives, and it's good to look at all types of different perspectives. We have these mucous membranes in our throat, and there's something about this COVID virus that actually forces it down deeper into our respiratory tract. It has been gaining wisdom. COVID is there's many variants of it that have existed in reality, so it has been gaining momentum to be what it is today. And so yeah, it goes a little bit deeper into the lungs. And if what we've been seeing through science is that majority of the people that die from this virus have had some kind of abnormality in the lungs or some kind of compromise in their lungs already. Usually about 8 to 10% of the population is who's actually getting dynamically affected by this. The rest of the percentage is, it kind of comes in as like a flu or takes you out for a few weeks. We had it really, really early on before it was even, called a virus. We just thought it was the flu, but like a really intense version of it. And that's how most people receive it. So there has to be a weakness there, and that's Western philosophy as well as Eastern philosophy. It gets into our cells, it multiplies, and it's kind of like that battle of like, do we have the warrior strength to battle this fight, or is the fight going to win over us? And this is an attack kind of mentality. And we can also look at viruses as helpers as well. Within ourselves and our environment, as within, so is without. Everything that's inside of us and everything that's in the environment are equal. So if it lives outside, it also lives inside. If it lives inside, it also lives outside. And that's a great kind of perspective to look at as far as every virus, bacteria, fungus, parasite is all living inside of us all the time. Why are we not sick all the time? Something we have to think about.
It's just, it creates, when we're in that harmonious state, so what I want to add to
Yeah,
that was,
go ahead.
in the mental, we have the mental aspect of ourselves, the physical, and the emotional, and like Lemia said before, so when we have those lower frequencies of thought, or shallow breath, or heavy emotional, or you're not moving, lack of exercise, lack of movement, then that's when these openings, these doorways, if you will present themselves, and then there's an overgrowth. So some people, for example, candida. We all have candidiasis within inside us. It's what we're eating and what we're feeding ourselves that either creates the better flora and fauna in our tummies, or the candidiasis flora and fauna. So it's what are we feeding ourselves, and that's in the mind, in the emotions, and in the physical, mouth, hand to mouth eating as well. So it all is connected, and that's what we like to, really keep reiterating throughout this.
What happens to us if we catch this virus? Fever, cough, difficulty breathing, fatigue, chills, body aches. So it's all the typical flu symptoms. Congestion, runny nose, lack of taste, loss of smell. These kind of things we hear about all the time. Nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. And if it gets to the point that the lungs are so inflamed, then it can cause and go deeper and cause pneumonia. And then the pneumonia after time can eventually lead to deeper respiratory issues and eventually death if it goes that far. So like I said, 8 to 10 cases, 8 out of 10 cases are mild cases, and the rest of the population, most of the population is not experiencing, the deadly viral.
And again,
outcomes.
It goes back to pre-existing conditions, and what's the person's level of all those things we just talked about, the mental, emotional, physical aspects, and are there compromised, organs and systems of the body, and then that's when, the chain reaction, if you will present itself for that opening.
So what we want to create is a space where our antibodies can develop and become very strong and fight this disease. Antibodies are like proteins that are in our body that are kind of like the good warriors, like the ones that are there to fight for us, to help us to defeat the darkness, the fear, the worry, whatever it is that's the shadow of who we truly are, our authentic self. And what happens when you catch the virus, you catch it at one point, and it isn't for 5 to 8 days that the symptoms or the antibodies actually start to build. So, and even, you might not even know you're sick, and your body is already starting to work. It's starting to build all those antibodies. We have always kind of been in the, act before preventative, act before the big hurricane or volcano erupts. Go in there and do what you need to do first. Preventative medicine to us is the key to all of it, which unfortunately is not really taught in the Western world. You talk to doctors, we have a lot of doctors in our field as well, and they say, I never learned nutrition, I never learned preventative measures. So this is something more of the Eastern mind. And that's, like he's saying, keeping our mind, our heart, our emotions, our speech, our attitudes in that place that we want to create, but also keeping our body strong. So the essences that we're going to talk about today, the two are Ancient Blend and the Black Cumin Seed Oil. We'll talk about that in a second. But these are essences, or nut oil and an essence, that we use every day. And we put it into our body to keep our immune system strong, to keep our vibration high.
Put it on our body, which goes into our body.
Right. Well, sometimes.
Sometimes in both, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
And when you look at the disturbance, if it takes 5 to 8 days for us to build antibodies, we want something that can be in our system to fight during those 5 to 8 days that we don't have antibodies. And so it's kind of the way we look at with aromatherapy. It's there as a guide and a helper. Nothing, we believe, can heal us except for ourselves. So there's no outer force that can actually do the healing that comes from inside. However, we have many, many, many tools that are kind of like holding our hands during this process, guiding us towards harmony. Sometimes it's hard to get yourself into that mindset and out of an old paradigm, out of an old story, out of an old vibration, in order to rise above the storm, in order to beat whatever that thing is that you feel is kind of wearing on you. So we want to have something in that time frame that we can lean on. And we definitely use the breath. We definitely use aromatherapy. Nature, food, the way that we sleep enough, rest enough, and not have stress in our lives. So we're living our truth, we're speaking our truth, we're honoring our truth.
No, the whole thing of laughter is a good thing to do, right?
It is the best medicine, they say. Okay, so what does the Western world tell us to do as far as
So some again the
remedies?
The Western, with all that said about Western medicine isn't really taught the preventative. They found that if you're deficient in certain minerals and vitamins, that you will be more susceptible to getting an illness. So in this particular case, the vitamins and minerals that are suggested to take to be kind of ramped up on, if you will, is vitamin C, vitamin D, D3, zinc, and the omegas. Am I forgetting one? And E as well. D, C, E, zinc, and omega-3s, omega-6s, all the omegas. So we get all of these things you can get from plants. So we're plant-based in food and diet, and it's changed our lives. We've been plant-based for about 2 or 3 years, and vegetarian before that. But anyway, for the last 2 or 3 years, really strong plant-based, no animal products in that regard, and all the it's really looking at where all these animals are getting their vitamins and minerals from, that then we go get those vitamins and minerals from those animal parts. So in the case of fish eat algae and things like that, or at least they eat the food chain that eats the algae. So within the food chain, they're getting that algae. So we like to look at it as like you're going to the source first. So you can get all of the minerals that I just said, especially the vitamin B and the omegas can be or they can be animal-based. So you can look for those in vegetarian, which again, just for assimilation and ease with the body, plant-based diet has been proven the last 10, 15 years, many studies you can research yourself, to shift the body, to shift the alchemy of the body, the chemistry of the body, the pH of the body for the good. So we're not going to go into that whole deep part of philosophy here in this video, but just go on to, if you're having challenges in your diet and in your shoulders and your joints and anything, in any issue in your body, try to go vegetarian, plant-based for 14 days and see how you feel. See if your body changes. Give it a good hearty effort. Eat omegas. Eat the proteins and things like that. Anyway, again, that's a whole other issue. But omega-3s are good. Omega-6s, all that good stuff.
How can we get them?
And you can get it from chia seeds. You can get it from hemp seeds, walnuts, flax, kidney beans, Brussels sprouts, purslane, which is a really cool little, especially here in Southern California and across the West, little green vegetable, hardy little. Everybody calls them a weed, but purslane is beautiful. And then deficiencies in these nutrients will compromise our immune system. This is proven, science proven, right? And then that increases our ability to become sick, creates those pathogens to get in. So just making sure here, got a lot of, so of course, we always talk about, especially these days, washing your hands, but that should have been, everybody should learn how to do that when we were kids. Wash your hands multiple times a day.
We're relearning.
And you have to dry your hands too. So some people wash their hands but don't dry. That's a big part of it, is drying. So those little moisture spots don't carry bacteria. Anyway, wash and dry thoroughly. Practice social distancing unless you're with your loved ones and your inner circles and stuff like that. But the mask wearing, those kinds of things help. And again, it's just wearing your vibration. Is your positivity is your first line of defense, and then with all those.
This whole thing is a mask as well, and even just creating that vibration of smiling, and our spiritual teacher, Dr. Levy, says all the time to fake it till you make it, and some people don't like that, but we've realized, like, sometimes you need to lift yourself up, and we need to not count on our external forces to do it. This is why we use the plants, nature around us to remind us, because that's what they do. All day long, they're just rising towards the sun and connecting and grounding into the earth. And that's our goal. And how do we do that? We want to hang out with or mimic the things that we want to be. So look at the things in your surroundings that you're bringing in, what you choose to watch, what you choose to listen to, what you choose to sing to or mimic as far as your mantra all day long. What are the words that are coming out of your mouth? The attitudes that you hold, and that's based on your perceptions, based on a lot of your past. And those things can actually come to haunt us in a subconscious way. We're not even fully aware of them. So bringing that awareness is the first key to, turning the light on in a dark room to say, hey, what's going on inside of me? And then you can look at your actions, your behaviors are really the effect of what's going on inside of you. And that's also the ease or dis-ease in our lives, right? And it's not just physical health. Dis-ease shows up as lack of finances being in order. It shows up as relationship conflict. It shows up as not being able to do what you love and love what you do. So your career is not in alignment with your soul purpose. All these things we can also call dis-ease, because you're not in homeostasis, you're not in balance. On the Eastern side, looking now at all of this from another approach, the Eastern side says we are not being attacked. As without, so is within. As within, so is without. So when we are at a frequency of vibration that's low enough to catch on to the vibration of the virus, the parasite, the fungus, the bacteria, whatever it is, then where it can latch onto us, right? If we're above, it's kind of like an airplane in the sky and there's turbulence. You rise above it, you don't feel all that craziness. And that's kind of a spiritual saying too, is like rise above the storm or stay in the eye of the storm. Like you want to be in the place where there's balance, where there's homeostasis. So it's said that actually we need to have bacteria. We need to have, these things in our system, in our body to help us to heal. So it's when kind of we've turned on whatever situation, and then the bacteria and those things inside of us have turned on us. So it's like a mirror reflection of what's living inside of us. When does the flu actually happen the greatest amount in the world? Like, when do people get the flu? Look at the season. It's close to the holidays. It's close to Thanksgiving. It's close to Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, New Year's Eve. When people gather together, they have to shop together. They have to co-mingle. Family comes into town. All these things come to the surface again, right? And so they say that in the Eastern world, kind of the mentality is that when there's an airborne virus, it means your terrestrial area is invaded. So you take that idea of like someone else's speech, which is coming through our terrestrial environment, someone else's presence, and you take offense to it, or you don't agree with it, or you have to be right, or you're holding on to your beliefs so strong that you've actually pushed away everybody that you love. All these things come to the surface during the holidays, and this is why there's so many airborne diseases during that time. So what does it say that we have a global pandemic that's an airborne terrestrial area dis-ease? All of us are fighting over, I'm right, you're wrong, this is my belief, and why don't you agree with me? I don't feel validated in the way that and then you look at like, where are we spending our time? Social media, all these places where everybody's opinion is just being put out there. So it's kind of like that flu season has now turned into 12 months of the year, because we're always getting to see our family. We're always getting to see people that from our past, if we choose to go filter into that whole reality. But we've created this environment, which would be fine if we could just say, hey, I really honor and respect the way you feel. I really honor and respect the way I feel, and we can actually coexist. And when that starts to happen, then we're not going to have all these airborne diseases. it always, maybe some things have been present, but they've been festering inside. Things are coming out now of what our differences are, and it's an opportunity really to heal on a deeper level. Nature teaches that all the time. Look at trees and plants that grow in a really, really tight zone together. They actually don't have legs that can get up and walk out of the room each day and go to work or go to gym or go to their friend's house or get food or whatever. The plants are like, they're stuck there, and they had to learn the coping mechanism of getting along with each other. They are our greatest teachers, and we learn from them all the time. I don't know. You could learn every day your whole life about plants, and there's still more to learn. They have so much wisdom, and it's all levels, and that's why we're believers. So I think we want to get into. Sorry, baby. I think we want to get into kind of the mind-body connection. But we don't necessarily have to draw it. Let's just talk about it. Our spiritual teachings are all kind of, the seed of them are the ancient Hermetic teachings. So talking about Hermes Trismegistus, who's now in spirit realm, Thoth, those teachings. So they go trace back to Archangel Metatron, if you want to go there. So ancient teachings from ancient Egypt, and they have been passed citratory, so mouth to ear, since that time to select people, and then those people have shared it, and those people have shared it, and those people have shared it. And we are all blessed because we must have done this many lifetimes in the past. We are all here sharing it together today. Yeah. And it's we have been taught, and we firmly believe that when you learn really deep mystical teachings, if you can't teach them to a child, then it's not the truth. Because simplicity is divinity. You'll find the deepest wisdom in the most simple things. That's why cartoon movies are so deep, right? Disney's got that down of like teaching a really like deep life lesson in a beautiful, simple way. And that's kind of where we're coming from. So we look at everything as gravity pulling from energy from the top down out through the feet. So that's kind of how energy flows through our body. Not kind of, but it is.
Yeah, there's two different ways. Everything has a
Right.
two ways to look at it. So there's the energy that comes down from the light and then goes into the earth and then grounds down and then creates like a big torus, if you will, that recircles and recycles back up. And there's an energy that comes from each of our hearts that sort of has the torus energy that goes up and out and fountains down and then circles back in through the root chakra and then kind of creates that energy going. So either way, there's a grounding, there's a rising up and then a grounding. Yeah, so there's two ways to look at the energy, and it's all from the heart, and yeah, we're good.
As above, so as below. So yes, it comes from when we're thinking of divine energy or etheric energy, when you look at the elements, because that's what rules over this, what we get to see and experience as humans. You could think of ether as like kind of space. It's something we can't see, but we know exists because we can feel it, we can sense it. It's spirit. It's the place of that soul essence. And that's that high energy of what we call the divine world. We access that when we get inspired. So through our breath, we take a deep breath, we get inspired, and we access that higher energy. And it comes through as ideas, it comes through as wisdom, whatever it is that we want to share, it's coming from this higher force. You can call it God. To us, when we speak of God, creator, source, light, we're talking about love, wisdom, and truth. It's very neutral because everywhere you find love, which is in everything, if you can see it, there's God source. Everywhere there's the truth, there's God source. Everywhere you receive wisdom, deep wisdom that touches your heart, your soul, that's God's source. So that is that ether energy that's pouring down, and it's the divine world. And it's in the Hermetic teachings, we look at the world, we look at the universe as being mental. It's all within the energy of the divine. So we live, let's say, in God's mind, the mind of God, the mind of love, wisdom, and truth. We're living in that. And that's the divine will that is always moving forward. And that's why we have to have faith and align our hearts with our mind, because it's so much beyond what we can perceive. And that source that's so beyond what we perceive is kind of like us creating and making a chair. And the chair saying, I know exactly what you are as a human. It couldn't possibly understand us as humans. So the creator for that chair is something beyond what they can ever understand as what they are, right? As we are nothing compared to this energy of source, although it's living within us and in everything around us. Life is a paradox, right? That energy of mental mind energy comes down and it moves through our throat. That's how we create what we see in front of us. We can speak it into creation. So something that's in our mind, if it's always staying in our mind, it never comes to creation, right? As soon as we speak it, we make it real. That's why our words are so important in our health. You want to remain healthy, speak positively about yourself, about others. Your speech matters. It actually creates this space that we have, that we're sharing, that we're breathing into. It's in that space. So part of this terrestrial area that we have is our mental thoughts, and it's our speech. So think about what you think about most of the day. What are you focusing on? And it's said that when we're not in harmony, when we are like in discord, our mind works like on overtime. We actually have like a million more thoughts than we normally would have when we're not in harmony. And that causes stress. And when we're in a state of stress, that means our sympathetic nervous system is working. And that's part of our autonomic nervous system that is the fight, flight, freeze, or faint. It's the part that's like reactive, like ah! And everything we do, we're just like ah! It's like our nerves are on the outside of our body. If we live our life like that, we're not going to live very long. And our speech has a lot to do with that. And activating the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the calming, soothing side, the part of us that works when we're asleep. So our body can still function, but we don't have to be thinking about a lot of things. When we're calm, we have like half the amount of thoughts that we do when we're stressed out. So we have to create an environment in our terrestrial area that's calm. Sometimes it's listening to mantra music or something positive or soothing, or, you know, even they say the highest form of music is classical music because it was made without ego. It was like really divinely channeled through. I mean, it's made through humans, so there's some ego, but it's not about sharing your opinion about something, and that's kind of how mantra is too. It just takes you to that space of oneness, and music is the sound of the heavens. So what we're listening to is also the doorway into what we are creating. So moving down from that ether energy, come down to air. We're breathing it, we're thinking about it, our thoughts start spinning, and then it comes down into more of a denser form. You can think of like water. It can go into mist, and then it can come down and be water, and then it can freeze into ice. And that's kind of how energy moves into matter from top down. Now we're moving into our heart space, our feeling area. How we feel is directly linked to our reaction to our senses. So aromatherapy is the greatest gift for us personally, because if we're in a bad mood or something, one of us, I mean, not in like an attitude or irritated way, but we can put an essence in front of each other. Or look what I'm anointing with right now. Would you like some of this? It's really uplifting.
Or sometimes just anoint and then walk past each other.
Yeah. And just,
you get the smell.
or you'll just put it in the diffuser.
Yeah.
In the room, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I smell citrus, or something that's very uplifting, right? So smell enters through us, and it creates a feeling. Feelings and emotions are two different things. Feelings are a reaction to our environment. You can smell a good food and then go home and cook it. You can hear a lyric and then you start singing it. You can feel a sense on your skin and then you make a sound. You respond to that, and you have a feeling of security or of opposite of that. So our feelings are actually what make or break us in our life. And that's all a response to our outer world. So when we feed ourselves good smells, positive visions, positive sounds and words, and the images and the things that we're surrounding ourselves are things that help us to grow into what we want to become, then we're creating that harmonious state. And for us, nature's a big part. Even just having plants in the house is huge. Having animals in the house is a form of nature as well. It opens your heart, gets you in the place of love. What's our mission as humans? To stay healthy and happy and successful, to become unconditionally loving beings, which we get the support from these energies. Once we felt it inside deep, and we have these feelings constantly, the feelings also affect the way we're thinking, so the two are working back and forth constantly, then we have some kind of outcome. So it can come out in our attitude, it can come out in our speech. These are more etheric senses. Then we go deep into the physical plane. The astral plane is our emotions and our feelings. The physical plane is the situation that we see, whether it's health, ease, or no health, dis-ease. That's the physical world. That's the world of action. That's the world of cause and effect. That's why we call it karma. What is karma? Cause and effect. And this is where we see, oh, we caught this airborne disease outside of us, and now we're sick. Where did I catch it? I caught it from you. You coughed in the room. Well, what else happened in that room and in that space? And what's your relationship to the person that you're pointing your finger at? And what's your relationship with yourself? And how was this manifested with thought and feeling into fruition? All these things actually end up being what is our energy, which is, what is our emotion, which is energy in motion. And our emotions are basically connected to our attitudes, the quality of our attitudes. And that happens with all the perceptions we bring into our reality. We have the choice to perceive a person or a situation as a gift, and like, oh, this is a learning opportunity, which is what some people like to call their karma. It's a beautiful opportunity to learn and grow. Or it's an attack, and someone's trying to do something to you. You're in perfect state and perfect, balance and harmony, and it's everybody else and everything around you that's the problem. And when we get into that state, we get sick. And we can admit it because we've been there, and it will happen until maybe the day that we die. Our intentions are to die healthy because we believe that that's possible. But we can let our emotions, our thoughts get the best of us, and that is when disease forms, and it can take us out. So we're going to look at the physical plane right now in regard to aromatherapy. However, aromatherapy, like we were saying, can affect your thoughts and your feelings because the smell and the sensation of bringing in these plants and positive energies inside can shift everything. But it also has a very physical benefit. So we have two plant teachers that we're going to talk about.
We have one blend which has 5 essences in it, and then another which has just one, just the cumin seed.
It's
the
a
black
nut
cumin.
oil.
And it's a nut oil. So it's a seed, a small seed that's been cold pressed to get the oil out of it. So first talk about nature.
Yeah, let's just give some history of why.
So we have Okay, so we have our ancient blend, and if you have it, great, you can anoint with it. She is very spicy because she has clove and cinnamon, so be very careful with that. We suggest putting on the bottom of your feet and rubbing your feet together and keeping them down there. Let them dry before you start walking around the house, if you can help it, or before you put socks on. And there are other techniques which we'll talk about, but I just want to get into the story real quick.
Wait. Besides clove and cinnamon.
Oh. So we have clove and cinnamon. Those are the hot ones. That's why I said them. Clove and cinnamon, and there's eucalyptus, there's lemon, and there's rosemary. So those 5 teachers, those 5 plant teachers, through time, from the 1400s, it was sort of written about, and I'll get to that in a minute. But even before that, the spice trade, these are plants, these are exotic plants that were talked about, written about in France. So
ancient Egypt.
Ancient Egypt, but as far as the story of so we have our ancient blend here, and this blend is based on the story of the thieves of the 1400, the bubonic plague. So stories of these 4 perfumers, which were kind of chemists, aromatherapists, if you will, back in the day. They were in the middle of this black plague, and they were staying healthy. but all their clientele were dying, so they had no commerce. They, like a lot of people at that time, a lot of people died in Europe, and I think it was 25 million people died, and they were like, we're running out of resources to, make ends meet. So they knew that there was a combination of these powerful essences, and they put them together. And there's many different variations of them throughout time, but this is what we've read from our historical perspective. This is the pure way to do it. Other companies add maybe a lavender, or they'll put a nut oil blend with it. These are the essences just in and by themselves, harmonizing together. So anyway, these guys went out and they would steal, the jewelry and the belongings of these people that were either dead or dying from the bubonic plague, from the Black Plague, and they were not getting sick, and they were, going around Europe. And so finally, King of France heard about these guys, and so finally, his men brought them in, and they stood trial, and they were basically threatened with giving the ingredients, giving their secret potion blend away, to the king, or facing death by hanging. And they were like, well, we'll tell you the recipe, the secret. So the secret was the like I said before, the rosemary, the lemon, the eucalyptus, the clove, and the cinnamon bark. So those 5 essences are what we use today to really boost the immune system, to keep our energy high. We taste, she's good for the mouth. She's yeah. Anyway, we'll get into it. But anyway, so that's our ancient blend. And again, she's very, very spicy, but very beneficial.
And we can't be afraid to work with hot essences, but we have to be responsible. And there's a few techniques you can use to protect yourself, which is keep what we call a nut oil or a seed oil, even our black cumin, the other one we're talking about tonight or today. Keep it on hand in case you do get that hot essence somewhere where it's burning you and you don't like the feeling. Like it's okay, you're not gonna, unless you have very, very sensitive skin, you won't permanently damage yourself. It will stop burning after about 10 to 15 minutes, and you never want to add water to something that's hot on your skin. It's going to amplify. Water will be an amplifier. What you want to do is use a nut oil, which kind of puts that out. This is why in aromatherapy, us personally, in our company, Sacred Scents Aromatherapy, we do not believe in putting a carrier oil in with the plant essence. Number one, it's going to go rancid a lot faster because nut oils don't last as long as essences do. Essences actually get better over time, like a fine wine.
And essences are rather energetic by nature, and lipid fat-based oils are very sedentary, so the two mix together, and that's when you get the rancidity that happens actually much faster than normally.
And also, it's going to put out the healing medicinal benefits of the plant. You'll get the smell, but it will kind of absorb and buffer, those effects. That's why when you burn yourself and you put a nut oil on, it goes out right away. You get relief right away because it's kind of disengaging those medicinal aspects of the plant. You always will get the smell. And this is kind of, when you're in the world of aromatherapy, you want to know, especially if you're using it as a type of medicine for yourself, you want to know what it is you're buying. Usually things from the store have carrier oils in them. They have alcohol in them sometimes. Sometimes you don't really know what's in them. Sometimes there's a synthetic, which is not a real plant, added to them. And we've had experiences in other companies just learning what goes on behind the scenes. It's not always in your highest good because they're trying to save on their margins and make money. So you need to know the intentions of the companies that you work with. Our intention is for you to get pure plant medicine into your body, to use it safely with education. That's why we teach things like this. So if you want to put it directly on your skin, you always can do a test patch, like on your yin skin, so the top of your arm, put a drop there. If you feel tingling or like needle kind of feelings, it's activating your nervous system. That means it's kind of like burning you. It's causing an effect right away. And that's what's going to happen if you put it somewhere in your skin. You can always layer. So the ingredients, the rosemary, the eucalyptus, they're both very mellow essences. You could always take one of those, put that on first, and then put the ancient blend. And that will allow you to absorb through another part of your skin. So there's people that like to put the ancient blend at the nape of the neck. That's an entry point to the astral world. So it's kind of between the divine and astral planes, and it's kind of a powerful energetic place. It's for higher intelligence as well, so you're activating that area. Some people like to put it at the roof of their mouth. You can put a drop on your thumb and rub the roof of your mouth, and you're connecting your higher glandular system, your pituitary pineal gland, to help receive the plants, and we're going to talk about what they do in just a little bit. Bottom of the feet is the safest. You won't need any other anointing oil, and it's just simple. And the bottom of the feet, we have 72,000 nerve endings, both our hands and our feet, and the navel, and all the reflex points. If you ever studied reflexology, you can take our aromatherapy training and learn a little bit about it. But we have all the points of our body to access the entire body in our hands and our feet. So don't underestimate the bottom of the feet just because there's a thicker layer of skin. Don't think it's going to be less affected. That's not the truth. Okay, so let's break down the ancient blend. We first have cinnamon bark. Cinnamon bark is powerful, really, really powerful. And actually, there have been many, many studies. The U.S. National Library of Medicine, National Institute of Health, it's a big name, actually said during COVID that essential oils have been known to have many positive effects. They go into all the different effects, including antiviral properties, and are being proposed to have activity against SARS-CoV virus. So that's actually been stated by a medical institute, a governmental institute, and it says based on the current knowledge of chemo herbs, essential oils, combination of drugs could be more feasible and effective approach to combat this viral pandemic. So essential oils, they're saying, is going to be stronger than anything that's on the market today. And yes, we have vaccines. However, what we're seeing with these new strains is that the virus has learned. It's learning what we're doing. Our mind cannot keep up with nature. Like, we have to be in sync with nature, which means we need to reach out to nature.
Yeah, I was actually having this conversation with somebody who's works for a big medical, worldwide medical company, like hospital company, and he was talking about all this virus and stuff going on, and I said, you know what we forget as humans is that, humans, we have this really weird thing of free will where we can, like, unfortunately, some people choose to end the human life, right? And that's a choice that some people can take. I'm not meaning to go dark, but viruses, they never will kill themselves. They always want to stay on this planet. They're always learning, they're always adapting, they're always growing, they're always out thinking, they're always going. They will never kill themselves. They do not have that programmed in them. So they have such a drive, a programmed by nature, whatever you want to call it, drive to keep on evolving and procreating, if you will, that we're like catching up to this thing. We're like, no, we know what you're going to do. And it's like going left and we're going right. And it's like, wait, why don't we just use all these plants and trees that have been there not as long as these little virus and fungus, right? The plants and trees came after, if you look at it evolutionary speaking. So we're really going to the oldest teachers, which are the plants and the trees, to learn to work with and harmonize with the virus and fungus, right? And all these little pathogens. So anyway, we have to humble ourselves and say, wait a minute, these little critters, these little tiny guys that we can't even see, are so intelligent, they will outlive us just by virtue of their drive to stay alive.
And cinnamon bark comes from an amazing tree. And again, all these trees, everything we're talking about, dates back to ancient Egypt. So you can trace it back that people in ancient Egypt used this with, was found in the tombs. Most of these have been found in the tombs because they were the most powerful ones. Cinnamon bark is one of those. And they actually peel the bark off the tree. There's a little enzyme on the inside of the tree, or resin, that they slough off, and that becomes the powder that we have as cinnamon, or it steam distills into the oil that we have. So it comes from the bark. Antifungal, antiviral, antiparasitic. It's all about, all plant essences, by the way, are antibacterial. So that's important to remember. And they're finding that actually the antibacterial soaps and things that we're putting on our hands are actually taking away from the layer of skin that's there to protect us from harmful bacteria and virus. So we don't want to get rid of the layers of our skin. We want to strengthen and actually add to and put in what's good for us. And so you can use any of these on your hands. We do it all the time. We go into the store, and then afterwards, any essence that's in our bag at the time, we'll just rub our hands together, take a smell, shift our minds a little bit, and then move on. It's a really quick, fast, and powerful, effective way to work.
Yeah, and the let's remember that the alcohol that's in those little antibacterial Purells and those kinds of things, the alcohol is what some companies, some essential oil companies, choose to put in and mix with essential oils.
Right.
So that, there's
source.
some really weird stuff going on out there in the aromatherapy world. That's why we've had to step back a few, and just take a bigger perspective that we really need to be careful on what we're putting onto our skin, because if our skin, and it's proven, our skin absorbs 80%, 60% of whatever we put onto it, we're gonna feel that, whatever it is, right? So yeah, just be careful out there.
Be careful out there. Cinnamon also helps to destroy bacterial cell membranes of the bacteria that's harmful or attacking the body, so to speak. It's been shown to kill the growth of virus and bacteria that's in the food we eat. It's actually lined in some veggies, meats, milks, as well as yeasts and other foods and stuff that we buy. They'll put a little cinnamon in there just to help kill the harmful diseases. So it's being used in our food, and we're not even aware of it. As far as emotionally, it's going to help with depression, emotional coldness, fear. Our fears create the environment that's the opposite of love. If love is homeostasis, our fears are creating the opposite of that. We don't want to go into our fears. So we always look at cinnamon as like the truth sayer. It's like if we work with people that, they want to get a divorce or they're having marital problems, just putting a little bit, like a tiny bit of cinnamon on the tip of your tongue, both of you, sitting with cinnamon on the bottom of the feet for a moment, silence, just absorbing, and then having communication kind of can help you get out your truth, but also from the heart. Cinnamon is good for the heart. These bacteria, these viruses are really powerful. They're going in and they're not only working on the pulmonary, but the cardiopulmonary. So it goes into the heart and can stop the heart. So this is one of those heart protectors that we have. Cinnamon, amazing for the heart. And also helping us with numbness, the feelings of isolation. This is a time of isolation. We need to work with cinnamon, even if it's on its own, not an ancient blend, but on its own, cinnamon can help us with that feeling of isolation, getting into that self-love, helping to remove the armor of our heart, the things that have caused emotional coldness. And again, these are the things that come up in flu season, right? The family member that, hurt your feelings or molested you, or something horrible happened between you or somebody that you're forced to see and be nice to, and all these things. This is society. Things happen, and we have to be able to rise above that, to forgive, to move forward. Cinnamon's going to help with that. And also bringing out our creativity. So having the creative mind to think outside of the box, to move past our karma, these influences that are inside of us, that are kind of programmed inside of us to think a certain way. Then we have clove bud.
Yeah, clove bud. We've all heard of clove bud, whether with cooking or with dentistry. The first modern dentists, would use clove bud as an analgesic to anesthetize the gums so that they could do the harder work on the teeth or whatever was going on. But great antifungal helper, great antiparasitic helper, great antiviral get rid of her. She's great for the immune system, and she's great again for emotional strength. So like cinnamon bark has that armor sort of energy. This is the clove bud. So this is that right before it goes out and pops into that flower. This is that pre-bud. So it's like that burst of energy from the heart that's just about ready to just, embrace the world and just let it out, right? So it's kind of that ball of energy of love.
She's known also to help destroy the wall of the cellular membrane of viruses. So she goes in specifically to attack. And that's the other beautiful thing about these antiviral, and they're almost like antibiotic reactions from plants, is that they don't go in and kill your healthy bacteria. And you're not going to have an effect of like a yeast infection or imbalance in your gut afterwards. So they have the intelligence to go in to harm the harmful, or to go in and attack the harmful bacteria, to strengthen the healthy bacteria, because we need that inside of us, right? If we don't have those healthy bacteria, then it's like we're very, very vulnerable to any kind of disease, and based on just immediately like our mood, we can get sick like that. So we want to keep a strength there. All of these also are affecting, essential oils have been scientifically proven to affect our DNA and our RNA. So the messenger cells that come through in viruses that affect our RNA, essential oils, plants, they go directly there as well. Clove bud is for emotional strength, as you were saying.
Yeah, exactly. And then also with that emotional strength comes that positive mental attitude. So she really helps bring that focus of a positivity in our mind. Also, when we work and heal our traumas, then we can have a greater positive mindset, right? And a great emotional mindset. So it's really helping us deal with those old traumas, whether we really know them or not. They're kind of hidden there, just bringing up things with love and not seeing history from or your past from that victim state, but from that that's the lesson, point of view, which is huge to do, and we all have our own journeys. No one's life is any better or any harder than any others. We've all had our own challenges, and that's why we all use this. We all need these techniques.
And also along that line, why is it used so much in dentistry? We've learned there are dentists out there that actually only work with mind-body. They do counseling for people instead of going in and doing actual oral work, and work with your psyche. So what's the emotion behind it? And the teeth are kind of like the bones. They store those records of like our ancestors and our ancient karma, these things, these patterns that we're here to heal. We're here to resolve them permanently. When we resolve them here in this state, we go back and it resolves in our whole ancestral lineage. So the work we're doing right now on this planet is very, very deep. It's to heal the lineage so that we don't carry this forward. And what are those deep pains that you can use some clove bud and it immediately gets you to the space of like being able to like function again. You're not in so much pain. So it's like a natural numbing device that kind of gets you to the truth of the matter. Like, what is it that's deep inside here or deep inside of me that needs to be resolved? Because we're just projecting out that energy that's going to then, like a boomerang, come right back to teach us. So we should learn in that process instead of getting the boomerang.
Yeah, and with that, it's establishing those healthy boundaries. So she really helps us to go, this is me, and this is not me, and this is who's allowed in, and this is who's not allowed in, right? And it's really, really helping us to be clear on what we want. So the goals in our heart, what are they? Not the goals in our ego or from our ego, but the goals in our heart. What is it that we're here to do? And it's really, what's that joy? And she really gives us that drive to help us do what makes us happy, right? So that when we're doing what makes us happy, we're sharing with other people that joy, and there's a reciprocity of joy and monetary and exchange and all that good stuff, right? So it all is, it's an intention, joyful intention to put out, joyful reception. Vitality, courage, calmness. Those are three great attributes of clove bud: vitality, courage, and calmness. So she helps us be vital, have more courage, and stay calm while we're going through those tough challenges in our life. So yeah, she's really, again, spicy, amazing flavor. We have all these essences that we're talking about individually as well as in the blend. So if you ever want to try one individually, you can also do that. But yeah, just as the blend goes, she's amazing as far as taste.
Yeah, and both cinnamon bark and clove bud, we've seen kind of miraculous healings, especially a few people in their older ages and things start breaking down and they're like worried and concerned, and really working with these hotter essences have brought out the truth, but also help them to heal themselves and not have to go through more intensive surgeries by the grace of God. But these are people that are willing to look at all aspects, look at what's going on in their mind, what's going on in their heart. The next one, big one, especially this is an airborne disease, is eucalyptus. And the one we use is eucalyptus blue gum. And the blue gum is a variety that is specific to diabetes as well. Also some of the female reproductive concerns helps with that, aside from being antiviral, antifungal, a lung tonic, a lung healer, like known to mend and heal that part of the body. The bronchioles are specific to what get affected through COVID, and that's the part that is delivering the oxygenated rich blood to the alveoli, which can extract the oxygen or release the carbon dioxide. So the bronchioles are what we're being affected by, and eucalyptus blue gum is really good for that. Also, the fact that it says blue gum, the blue is the vibration of the throat chakra. So again, that terrestrial space, thank you. I'm hearing territory and then thank you, has to do with communication. And so how are we able to communicate our truth in a loving way that also honors the other people's truth and coexists? And we want to create that type of communication. Breath is life. It's the way we take in life. A lot of people that struggle with lung diseases, asthma, bronchitis, constant pneumonia issues, there's like a grieving that's happening. So we've lost our joy. We've lost our ability to celebrate life and look at the goods, the bads, everything is the journey versus being a victim of it. Sometimes, if one thing after another happens in life that gets you down, sometimes you can be at the basement floor of life. And the idea is just to have something that can help take you to the elevator to get you back up to that penthouse suite so you can see the broad perspective, right? And eucalyptus is a great one to do that. It's part of the blend, but on its own, you could put a few drops of eucalyptus in your hand, make a hand inhaler, like a loose fist. You rub your hands together, breathe, make a loose fist, and then let some air come through, but breathe in and bring it into your lungs and hold it in your lungs for just a minute, and then exhale through your nose and just get it into your respiratory tract. Eucalyptus, it's the Latin name is globulus. It helps with a lot of different, like even mumps, like a lot of different viral infections. But so there's something specific in COVID. It's like there's the germ positive and germ negative activation that happens. Eucalyptus blue gum actually affects both. So as far as getting into the scientific part, I don't want to really talk about that too extensively here, but these ingredients, they work for a reason. So they're all going to specific angles of our psyche, our emotions, and our physical energy, our physical body healing, to both attack and strengthen. So attacking the parts of us that are low vibration to help elevate us up and bring us up. She's a root chakra healer. Usually the things that we're fearing have to do with the root chakra, because the rectum is the space of fear. When there's issues, the rectum is kind of loose and not strong, we can be more fearful in life. That's why yogis tend to squeeze their rectum 24 hours a day, or at least when they're meditating. And we also call it bracing, anytime you're lifting things or, you're feeling that you need that inner strength, you can squeeze down there just to keep us out of fear. She's good for survival, issues with survival, releasing blockages inside of us. Obviously, if there's inner blocks going on, our mind and our emotions, it's definitely going to be, you'll be able to hear it in your breath. Your breath is the voice of your soul. If your soul's not happy, you're going to hear the unhappiness in the breath. Fear around money. this is big in the pandemic. We're going through this time. It could be a part of the second wave. It's like now we have different kind of fears. We have fear of this virus, but also the fear of not getting better. The fear around money to where we can't work, or we can't do what we need to do for survival. So the root chakra is all about survival. Sex, money, power, family, that kind of thing. And she also helps with clarity of mind, speaking your truth, letting go of the past. And that's part of that terrestrial space. We can't bring the past into every environment we go into. We're never going to be able to move past that. Move past the past, right? That's why it's called the past. So eucalyptus, amazing, amazing ally that we have.
Yeah. Good friend of the family.
And another ingredient
that's very familiar to everybody is lemon, right? So lemon, this is the peel. So the fruit is extracted and then used for juicing. And then the peel, just the peel with the pith and the little, little skin stuff on the outside, little pockets of oil, is cold pressed. So that's what we're talking about when we say lemon. So it's not the lemon juice with the pulp and the juice that you would make lemonade from. This is the zest that used in like bar drinks and things like that. I used to be a bartender, so I have to say, with a twist. So anyway, lemon is antiviral, as we know. A lot of people use her in the water, the juice that is. Anti-parasitic. You can put the concentrated, again, the oil in water, like the cinnamon, to kill parasites inside water, inside your system, or in the water. Cleansing as well, clearing, that kind of an idea of just letting go, clearing, again, emotionally, mentally, and physically. And then really good, all the citruses, but especially lemon, is good for loss and for grief. Grapefruit, lemon, lime, they're all really uplifting. Again, any of the essences, but lemon here we're highlighting. The compounds in lemon have been found to reduce anxiety, like scientifically found to reduce anxiety. So
There's
that's
a lot of research
so that's like just regular, like, oh my gosh, this is a stressful situation, to like chronic anxiety where you're like looking outside the door and are they going to come and get me, and no one's ever been to the front door in 5 years, but you still think that someone's coming to the front door kind of people.
God bless them.
So it's all not making fun of those types of people. I'm just saying that lemon, citruses, especially lemon, is going to help with that long-term anxiety and short-term. And in 2016, lemon essential oil is powerful calming of mood enhancing agent, is more effective in removing stress than any other essence, and can reduce anxiety and depression. So we say all those other essences, but lemon was found to be the best. So scientifically proven. In 2016.
We want to give you science. Some people need to hear the science.
And just to speak to that, in 2016, that crop of lemon essential oil might be different than a crop in 2021.
But in general, lemon's known as the cleaner.
You're right. Right, yeah. But maybe 1 year, maybe lime would be a little bit better in this. Maybe lime would get the best. Anyway, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's micro differences from year to year based on climate and soil and all that kind of stuff. So we're taking this with a grain of salt. That in 2016, it's like 2016, lemon won the blue ribbon for this prize. So anyway, for anxiety, she's also. We all know that lemons, limes, oranges are all good for vitamin C. So really great vitamin C. We talked about that earlier. This is connecting the vitamin C in here. So and we're making a reference guide. It's coming soon. We're also cross-referencing the different vitamins and minerals, not the percentages, but just that what are represented in each of the essences. So we are working on that, adding a little bit more time.
Yeah, and lemon, just to remember, all of these essences have a lot of minerals in them, have a lot of vitamins in them. And when the body doesn't, like if you're thinking, oh, that's a lot of energy, because 1 drop of an essence is equivalent to an ounce of the dried herb. So that's what you're bringing in, and some people are like, wow, that's a lot. What if it's too much for the body? Well, first of all, we never drink or consume or put on our body a whole bottle at a time, ever. That's too much. It's like drinking too much water. You could die from drinking too much water. So it's using everything in moderation. We're talking 5 to 10 drops a few times a day, so it's not extreme. But when you bring it into your body, you're mineralizing, you're bringing all that in, and anything you don't need, it's an excess, you're going to urinate out. We always say that's blessing the sewage system. It's blessing the rest of the earth. Eventually, it's going to end up in the earth somewhere to help counterbalance whatever else is being put in those areas. So yeah, and then the emotional also is when life brings you lemons, you got to bring lemonade. So whatever we're given, make lemonade. Whatever we're given, we can transmute that into something usable, something that we can gain from that can help us move forward in our lives. Everything is meant to do that, and nothing comes in that we can't handle.
And if if someone does get sick with this particular virus or any other type of virus, if you get sick, lemon helps with that. Like when you're sick and you're like, oh, I just, that like kind of like that feeling when you get sick. Put a little bit of lemon on your feet or in a diffuser, and it really helps kind of push through that like giving in to the sickness. Like oh, no more that. We want to, yes, okay, I got this. Oh well, let's boost on out of this, and we.
Because she attracts the sun.
Right.
So anywhere you put lemon, the sun's going to amplify to that place. In the ancient blend, it's blended in with all of these essences that we're talking about right now. So there is a buffer. It's kind of like layering on your skin. She is contained within that, but I would never put lemon on my face and then go out to the beach and go into the sun.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why this is a great blend to put on the bottom of your feet. But also if you're using lemon underneath the clothing on the bottom of the feet.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. And speaking of bottom of the yeah. So great for cognitive function. So if you're trying to remember things, or you have a test, or which is remembering things, you have a conversation you need to do, important conversation with someone, you can use lemon to help that like sharpness in your brain, right? So yeah, she's good for your sharpness in your brain. Like we said, a great antifungal, clears the nasal passages and allows for steady breathing, so a little bit more gentle than a eucalyptus, but it helps with the breathing as well. And this is interesting, she's doctor-approved antiviral, antibacterial hand sanitizer. So we're saying that all essences are antibacterial. Now some doctors, and we have a link here if you ever want to know it, say that it's antiviral and antibacterial hand sanitizer. So that's huge. So this is within the blend, and we know the power of the other things, and we're going to talk about rosemary next. But already, I mean, it's just our ancient blend is far better, if you will, than these hand sanitizers. They don't smell good. It's alcohol. It feels as liquid gel
Taking
stuff.
Your skin
it's weird.
Off.
If you want to use that, that's great. It's just for me. I'm like, what? There's no smell. There's no. I'm a big smell person. Obviously, we're in this business. We're in this field. It's so powerful. The smell to shift our thoughts. Like a hand sanitizer is just like, I don't know. It's just very dull. So it's anyway. I want to say it. So I'm getting the thumbs up. Let's go. Move on. Okay. So depression. She's great for depression. We talked about that. Feeling unloved, or that like. Feel like you're ugly or you're having an off day, so she helps like bring that like joy back to yourself, right? And love for yourself, and that feeling of like, oh, no one likes me, no one's talking to me, I don't have any friends. No, you have everything you need. Yeah, the terrestrial space is fine. If you feel like you have a tendency to escape, you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this project, but then oh no, I need to go do this and the other thing. No, just get do it. Stay focused. Again, that clarity, right? You're avoiding your tasks, you're avoiding a conversation, things like that. No, face it head on. Self-love, self-acceptance, again, that feeling good about yourself, right? Awesome.
It's very important. All this is contributing to that vibrational frequency. We have to keep our vibrational frequency high. Lemon looks like the sun. And if our heart is the sun in our personal solar system, then it's going to bring you more into your heart. That's where we want to be. That's where we want to dwell. That's where we want to feed. That's where faith lives, is in this astral plane of the heart, of love. And that's where we want to move from and work from in our lives.
Yeah. And yeah.
And then rosemary. Rosemary. We have an amazing rosemary from South Africa.
We've had a few different,
Morocco
and different other places. But.
Yeah, and I love the South African. Rosemary is also antiviral, believe it or not. Good for respiratory. It's also one you could use in the hand inhaler for the lungs. Yeah. And she's also known and many studies on her for brain health. So helping our memory, helping with Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, those kind of things. So keeping the mind sharp. And, like we said, disturbances start with our thoughts as the seeds. Our emotions are watering those seeds, and then we create the effect, which is ease or dis-ease. So the rosemary is starting and working with this area so that we can, what are the memories that we're focusing on? Think of your memory as it's a bank of kind of what's inside of you, this subconscious mind that's kind of feeding you feelings all day long through our senses, right? We want those feelings to come from looking at the past and saying, oh, I learned a lot, I grew a lot, but I'm going to focus on this memory that's good versus living in the trauma that happened in the past, and you're bringing it into every day and you're reliving it, and you're in that sympathetic nervous system state of stress all the time. The more stress that we have in our lives, the faster we're going to die. So all these essential oils in different ways are like little friends that are like, hey, live your truth. Go deep inside. Find out what's going on inside of you. Cheer up. Raise your frequency. Be brighter. Take a deep breath. Listen to your memories as far as focusing on those positive healing memories so you can create more of those positive healing memories. So each teacher, each plant has a different direction to help us create a healthier terrestrial space. And speaking of that space, diffusing it in your air is also going to keep your lungs healthy, your mind healthy, your environment healthy, and be able to affect the people that don't want to wear essential oils in your space. Okay, so rosemary is a cleanser of toxins in the body. She is a heart stabilizer. That's the other thing. She has rose in the prefix. The rose prefix essences are usually tell us and remind us that they're good for the heart, cardiovascular health. They're going to help with circulation, getting us moving. We don't want to be stagnant in our heart space. We want to keep the flow. We want to be the river. Anti-convulsive, anti-epileptic. This is a big one with COVID because part of the effects of what happens when you catch the disturbance and it goes deep in the body, there's been a lot of seizuring and a lot of these kind of conditions that are happening. The rosemary is that part of the medicine that affects that, goes into the nervous system. We need something that's going to help balance the nervous system, keep the heart strong so it doesn't give up when it's fighting. She helps to regulate the blood pressure. That's also something that when we get sick, our blood pressure changes, it shifts. She helps with, if we're in a coma, she's one they say that helps to bring you back out, to help you come back into your mind, into that state of consciousness. And if there's too many fluids in the lungs, she helps to remove excess fluids, kind of like a diuretic. She's like, which is our emotions. Fluids in the lungs, emotions, water in that part of how we're taking in life. Again, creating that neutrality in our emotional body. So in the emotions, she's going to help with sorrow, with grief, with negative thinking. The mind is the garden. Remember, there's an amazing quote. We read it a few times a week. Mind is the garden. Your thoughts are your seeds. You can plant flowers. You can plant weeds. And we love weeds. We don't want to give them a bad rap.
First lane is a weed.
There are a lot of healthy weeds that we use, but in the analogy, it's the thing that's irritating you in your life is the kind of the weed in your life, right? She helps to clear away old use of old behaviors. So if you're excess in food, excess in drugs, alcohol, things that aren't good for you, she's kind of giving you that strength to clear the way and let go of those things. Let go of bad memories, let go of trauma, let go of the darkness of the past, so we can dream our dream. What are we creating? We don't have to be pulled into what we've already experienced, right? We can start to create the new experience. This is a big part of holistic health, is having original thought, not being pulled and swayed by the elements around us, but creating from within. So yeah, you say this is ugly or bad, or you say that life is going here and this is bad and this is good and whatever. Me, I see that we're going to create beauty and grace and love and peace. We're creating it from the inside, and here's my creation. This is what I'm sharing with the world. So be in that space of creation. Rosemary helps to support being in that place. Speaking your truth, living your truth. We know the truth is an aspect of the Creator, so being in alignment with that aspect of the Creator. Ancient blend are those 5 together. They're like a power team. What we've learned about blends, we don't do a lot of blends, but we've looked at history and what has worked for many people in the past, and those are the ones we're kind of mimicking right now as we learn more about blends. But from the great perfumers and suppliers and farmers that we've talked to, blending is not evil. It's just a matter of creating an honoring space for those plants to learn how to get along with each other. And I really see it as when we work with blends, we're also opening our energy field to working with other people. So every essence in Sacred Scents Aromatherapy is bathed in mantra, Ramadasa Sase Sohang. It's a healing mantra, known scientifically to heal the body.
And designated by the UN as the International Healing Mantra.
And put to a very Kabbalistically, numerologically aligned and highly vibrational rhythm and melody. So all the essences are being bathed in this all the time. So when we do a blend, we actually let it sit in the mantra before we even pour it in the bottles. Just let it sit in the blend as a blend for like a week and just receive each other, learn how to get along. They have the healing mantra there to help support. These are living beings that have transcended their physical state into this essence, which is like liquid creator, liquid love. So we give them that time, then we pour them into bottles, then they go back into the mantra again. But we really bring the intention of, we want you all to get along so that you can teach us how to get along. And then we can clear our terrestrial space, and we can have a new environment to create this new generation of life, because we are birthing the 6th race of man, which is the power of love. It's the you're seeing it in the children now. Children are different, right? These crystal children that are coming in are very powerful. So now let's look at the nut oil.
Yeah.
Black cumin seed.
Yeah, so our black cumin seed, Nigella sativa, some people get it confused with cumin spice. So the cumin seed is cumin something or other. It's totally different. This is Nigella sativa, yeah. So this is still a seed like the cumin seed, but now it's a little bit bigger, and it comes from, it's a really beautiful kind of alien-like flower, really beautiful. It can be white and blue, but it's in that pod. There's black seeds within that pod. So those black seeds are then taken out. It's also referred to in some places. You'll find it as black seed. Black seed oil.
At the grocery store, they sell it.
Yeah, you can find it. So
a little watered down version, but it's still there.
Yeah, when we were going through our process of finding good products, we would go to random health food stores and we would try out what they were selling. Yeah, we were trying, and most all the stuff you're going to find at the stores, at least that we found, had vitamin E carrier, had some other blended oil with it.
It's not just the black seed.
And you can taste it, you can feel it right away. So anyway, the black seed that we have is 100% pure, grown in Israel, and that region, the Middle East, has known about black seed for eons. Again, the ancient Egyptians had vats of it around for their health and their well-being in the tombs. Prophet Muhammad from the Islam faith, he said that he's quoted as saying that black seed Nigella sativa will prevent everything but death for a human. So that's pretty cool.
The only thing we can't prevent.
Yeah, it's the only thing the black seed can't fix is death.
We can't fix it.
Yeah, nobody can fix that. That's the inevitable. But
it's going to happen no matter what.
Black seed is just phenomenal. This is one we work with, again, every day, multiple times a day.
Our dog is in love with it.
Every dog, he popped up.
Like, don't open the bottle.
I opened the cap
just
as a little twist, and I opened it and closed it, and he popped up.
He
can smell it, and now he can pick it.
And it helps to heal wounds, so many things.
Yeah, every dog we've ever met, every child we've ever came across and worked with, it's a great, great essence.
They know. It's good for them.
I've had some eye things happen in the past, and I've worked with it right up to my eye, and sometimes accidentally getting into my eye, and no problem. It's not a big deal. It's just a really, really versatile gift from the plants. So anyway,
And yeah, in the Egyptian pharaohs, like the kings, they would have gallons of it buried with them so they could take it to the afterlife. So if that doesn't tell you how powerful the most powerful beings at that time, which they say they could see the unseen, they were using it in large quantities and saving up and making sure that they had it with them. Like they didn't want to leave the earth without it. They were attached to it.
Right.
Very, very impressive.
Our goal is not to be attached to anything.
No.
But you can see the importance of it, right, to them at that time.
So there's so many studies, but science has studied that it stimulates bone marrow and our immune cells, and protects the body against all viruses, destroys tumors, inhibits infections. It has antibiotic properties and against gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. We were talking about that earlier with the eucalyptus. And she's lipid-based. So this is one that's gentle on the skin. This is what people will add as a carrier oil to essential oils so that they don't burn your skin. So you can put her, we always say do a test patch because you never know. Hot in some people in some countries on the other side of the world is cold. So you never know. Everybody's skin is so different depending on the weather and where you live. And
what you're detoxing or processing emotionally or physically, right?
So when someone gets a big rash from an essence that we know is pure, so maybe it came from us or a high source, a really known source, that doesn't add anything or take anything out. A rash to us is a detox effect, and you talk to people and what they're going through, it's usually an alignment of, it's a time of releasing, and that plant is helping you to release it. If you see it on your skin, be grateful, because they say if it stops coming out of your skin, whatever it is, then it's working at the organ level. It means it's gone that deep, and you're going to have to bring more up or work on a deeper level.
Yeah, I was going to say...
rashes?
Yeah, rashes, thank you. If you do get a rash from using any essence, ours or somebody else's, stop what you're treating immediately and then let that cleanse and clear before you start using again. And then sometimes we've had people with this situation where they had an outbreak. Okay, let's stop. Let's just smell it every once in a while. Well, first they tried to put it on the bottom of their feet. Outbreak came in the same spot.
It's an emotional response.
Yeah, we were working with the heart essence at the time. Yeah. And this person was putting it on their heart, and all of a sudden, like a week or two into it, they were feeling it, processing it, and then some little bubble rashes came out. Okay, so stop that. Okay, good. Now use just the bottom of your feet. Oh, guess what? On the bottom of the feet, guess where the rash came out? After the rash had cleared, she put it on the bottom of her feet, and it came out on the chest again. So it's an emotional thing, right? So it's the body giving clues. So then we said,
don't keep putting it on.
Don't keep putting it on. Stop after that.
You're hurting yourself. Don't do
and then
that.
We just smelled. She just smelled, and then the person was working on some emotional heart stuff. Right after got to the point where she was able to smell it and no outbreak, and everything was feeling confident. She was feeling good, and then she met her now husband. So very powerful stuff.
It's kind of the chaos, the storm before the beauty, the love, and the happiness, the joy. We always talk about resistance and spirituality. Like if there's something good for you coming, then the opposite and equal amount of energy also has to come. So we have to know life is yin and yang. If you're about to have a major breakthrough in your health, sometimes you're going through a disease that feels like you're about to die. And then there's the breakthrough. So it's that 11th hour. It happens in abundance a lot of times. You don't have what you need. You're struggling, whatever, and then in that 11th hour, something pulls through. So that's where the faith comes in. You have to have faith in this process of self-healing and working with nature. Nature has faith. Those trees, when the hurricane comes, they don't go into their basement or their attic, or somewhere to hide. They're just facing the storm, right? We want to get to a point where that inner strength helps us to face any storm. Black cumin, Nigella sativa. It's been analyzed to protect against COVID-19. So there are studies: antiviral, antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, anticoagulant, immunodilatory, bronchodilatory, antihistamine, antitussive, so helping with coughs, that kind of thing. Analgesic, good for pain. So pain, inflammation, all these things that start to happen internally in our organs, she's going to help calm down. we actually will use, 10 drops, then move up to kind of maybe a teaspoon, maybe a tablespoon eventually of ingesting each day, either in hot water or
That's
directly
Specific
as a specific treatment for internal kind of disturbances. Again, you want to see a holistic practitioner and make sure it's in alignment with your whatever you're taking medicine-wise and all of that. And we never say if you're on medication to stop taking that medication. We always work with doctors that are open to working with holistic health practitioners to slowly wean you off of things that maybe if you want to go more of a natural way. Many studies of antioxidant benefits of like this kind of being like a youth serum, so it's going to revitalize and strengthen all the organs. Black cumin seed is one of those. It's a seed, and if you think of the seed is in the fruit, right? And we want to look at cause and effect. So it's going to affect the cause and the effect and the whole process in between. So every organ in your system can benefit from black cumin seed. Really known and good for the lungs too. I don't always look at nut oils and say, oh, well, these are going to be good ones for the lungs because we don't use them as a hand inhaler. However, you can just put directly over the lungs. When you put essences on your skin, you're receiving about 50% of the essence. So you put 10 drops on, you're receiving 5. The other 5 are why people smell you when you walk around. They're turning into water vapors. These are healthy vapors that hopefully people don't have masks on and they can smell, and that'll go into their lungs and help them to heal from your skin. But we bless the space with the other half. When you ingest, you only get about 25% because your digestive system, the acids, the process of going down the tube, you're losing some of the effect, although it is absorbing into the walls and that kind of thing. But it has to go through that process of digestion, so you lose about half of what you would gain if you just put it on your skin. This is why we say with the Ancient Blend, use it on the bottom of your feet. Of course, you can put a few drops in water and drink, and then always follow it with a regular glass of water. But on the skin is the most effective. Same thing with the black cumin seed. We also have techniques where we put it in our belly button. There's different techniques. Take our training and you'll learn more techniques. I don't want to put it all here because it's too much. It's too much information.
Too much.
Yes. So, anything else you want to say about black cumin seed?
I think that we've covered it all as far as in this setting and what we can go into here. She's just one of those versatile, ancient, well written about, well studied. There's like all the checklists. If you have a skeptical mind like mine, all the checks are crossed off here. All the questions are answered. So for me,
even
that's
hair.
Yeah, hairs. Head to toe. It's like we teach the Sukshma Vyayama as taught by Dr. Levy, but it's like that. Cumin is that physical tool that kind of acts like retooling and recalibrating your body. So you also, it's not just like take the essence and you'll be fine. We also have to work on the emotional and the physical stuff too, right? So, and the mental. But she really brings the ability for the body to be at a better place of balance so that we can process our emotions and whatever else is going on out of balance, we can process those with more grace and more ease. So she just is that harmony for the immune system that helps us process things a little bit easier.
Yes, we need our energy and motion to go in the direction that we'd like it to go, which is towards health and success and happiness and fruitful relationships and longevity. Every dis-ease has a vibration as well. We're talking about the bronchi being the terrestrial space. In general, a cold or respiratory illness means too much going on at once. Mental confusion, small hurts. So again, those painful things, those experiences we've had with people or traumas of the past, when we're living in that vibration in our mind and our heart, that's when we bring in a respiratory disease. And viral infections mean a lack of joy flowing through life or bitterness. So we've allowed ourselves to become bitter. Bitterness can also cause diabetes. Again, depending on your physical diet. So all these things being in alignment, that's when that can happen as well. And each little symptom has a mind-body connection. We're not going to go into each one, but like chills or fever. So every symptom that you get when you get that disease also has a specific emotion attached to it. So think of us as these holistic beings. We're really driven by our thoughts and our feelings, which over time, through our attitudes and our perceptions, become our energy in motion, become our emotions. And our emotions is it. Our emotions tell the shape of our body. They tell our success. They tell our happiness. They tell our fruitfulness. They tell our ease or dis-ease. And they're affecting the divine world, the world of thought. The world of thought rules over love. And it's the breath that will always lead the mind where it needs to go. So another gift for us of aromatherapy is taking the time to just take a deep breath and bring in all these positive molecules that are attaching to our nostril hairs, going into our lungs and actually affecting our body just from smelling, and changing and shifting our mindset, creating an environment of love in our head. And then we bring it into our body. We put a little bit on our skin or on our feet somewhere, or we drink it. Goes into our heart, because anything we put on our skin is going to go directly into our blood, into our circulation, filter through our heart, filter through all the organs in the body. And it's working on our emotions, and it's working on the heart space, which is the beginning of life. You know, at one point we were just a heart beating in the womb, and that heart is then the filter to everything else. And this is the center of faith in us. So connecting with nature actually helps to strengthen our faith, because we watch these plants and animals and creatures that are so vulnerable. They can't do what we can do. They don't have thumbs. And they don't have the speech that we have to be able to create and manifest what we can create. Yet, they're full of faith. They live fearless. They live their life, based on the elements of nature. And then we have that physical plane, the animal side of ourselves. This is the cravings, the desires, the part of us that is kind of reactive to the senses. It's reactive to whatever emotional diet we feed it, right? And the physical plane needs hope. So we have to have something that's going to keep us in the space of hope to stay alive. For me, working and communing with nature, sometimes it's just sitting by a tree, breathing with the tree, because you can get so much healing from trees when you've asked their permission and you've gone and you've communed with them. Just taking a walk on the beach, taking a walk in a place of nature can shift your mind. You want to shift your head so that you're in the brain space of creating the life that you want to create, not creating a nightmare for yourself to live in. We've got the mental mind, we have the emotional brain, and we have a physical brain. And if we're stuck in one of those brains, we have to be able to transfer energy. We have to be able to move into another aspect of who we are. And nature helps us to do that. Plants help us to do that. Aromatherapy is a very user-friendly thing. We call it the gateway drug to spirituality, because it enters your body and then it helps to remind you who you really are. We are not material, physical beings that are forcing in a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings trying to understand this material world, but we're spiritualizing matter. We have to remember that. And every time you go and commune with an essence and you smell it and you put it on your body and you connect with the flowers around you in nature, you're remembering your true essence, your true spirit, which is what we're here to bring into matter. Bring the ether down into this dense form of physical plane. Once things are physical, it makes it very difficult to shift. So the preventative idea of working with our mind and our emotions is to get us to stop it at that level, so it doesn't imprint deep inside. When you pattern yourself every day to go into that dark place, and you're feeding off of that, then your cells have no other choice but to vibrate at that frequency. So what is it that can help lift you and rise you up? And maybe it's not ancient blend or black cumin. Maybe it's another, like a chamomile or ylang ylang or
hyssop for forgiveness.
Hyssop for forgiveness. There's so many. We only have 90 of the, I don't know, there are like 500 plants that we can use on the planet.
No, there's 80,000 edible.
500.
80,000 edible plants.
Aromatherapy.
Yeah, 80,000 known edible plants.
Edible. Yeah.
Of the aromatherapeutic ones, I think we're like 300 or 400,
Yeah,
500,
it's not
something like
that
that.
many.
Yeah. At this point in time,
At
right?
this point in
Humans
time.
know very little still.
So, yes, and I wanted to end with just a few tips that we want to give you in order to keep your body, your mind, your heart strong and above the storm, and just keep you on that high floor of life and not in the basement of life. So, here's some advice. Number 1, avoid arguments. We all have a choice to engage or not engage. You know, the one thing that we have control over is
Space.
yes. Space means terrestrial space, which means language as well.
Yeah, and also in this day and age, the space of us being on our phones and
All the
engaging with our little thumbs, which is kind of some energy of Mars here, and how are we using those thumbs to engage with people through a weird flat screen?
Create peace. So each day, find a way to create peace in your life. How are you doing that? How are you exercising that? We do all these other things to exercise or strengthen what we're doing in our lives. Like where's our aspect of creating peace? Let go of the past. They say the past is history, the future is the mystery, but the present is named a present for a reason. It's a gift. So open it up each day and just be in the present. Accept other people's opinions. You don't have all the truth of the universe. And some of us, as humans, we get to this point where maybe we've gone to school for so long or we've learned a topic for so long that we think we know everything. Even if you've studied it your whole life, you don't know everything. We are just touching the surface, like barely, of aromatherapy, and it's been our life study since we've been adults.
Yeah, it's said, like, don't accept other people's opinions blindly and have your own, and only go along with or accept those opinions if they're going to help you better. Now it's not to say
help you become a better
help
person.
you become a better person. So and so what I'm trying to say, if you can help, if someone else's opinion is their opinion, you can honor their opinion and don't have to accept it. Right? That's what I'm trying to get.
It doesn't have to be yours.
Right.
Try not to fear your enemy. There's a spiritual saying that says, make your enemies your angels and your friends your archangels. So, and there's other sayings that say, bring in your enemies close or something. You want to have no enemies, really, but if there's people you don't get along with, maybe your vibration is funky, try to see one good thing about them. Like, you can look down and see if they have nice shoes on, or they have a good smile, or something that you can find to focus on, right? Remove yourself from any situation that creates fear. So don't be afraid of fear, but don't put yourself in constant reminder of, this is what causes me fear. It's like you get to decide again your space. Speak your truth. Speak the truth. Maybe your truth isn't the truth, but try to align your truth with the truth and then speak it.
And the truth unveils itself over a lifetime. So
yes.
Be patient.
And the truth sometimes makes us cry, but eventually it sets us free. So it's our friend. Validate other people's truths. So someone is just like, it is my truth that parsley is the end-all, be-all for vegetables. Okay, cool. I'm glad that it works for you. Like, honor someone else's truth. Again, you don't have to accept it as your own. Identify what causes you conflict. So be aware. What is it that brings me into duality? What is it that really sets me off? When you're aware of the kryptonite, then it can't kill you, right? Then you know where it is. You know how to approach it. You know how to have respect for it, to honor it, to feed it with light and not fear, to have healthy boundaries. Yeah, all those things. Allow yourself to feel how you feel. So we don't want to become escape artists. We don't want to use clove bud for everything because it's a number. There are other essences that can be numbing devices. But we know the big numbing devices in life. There's many of them. Try to feel what you're feeling when it comes up. And then honor it, respect it, and then do something about it. Clear it. Take some deep breaths. See every situation through other people's view. It's kind of like that idea of walking in other people's shoes. If you do something, if you say something, how does it affect the whole? How is your behavior a part of this global movement towards love and aligning ourselves with that? Become a neutral observer. So be able to look at things without reacting. Again, we don't want to be a victim of our five senses. We want to be creators of the magic from inside of us. So observe things, see them for what they are, don't attach yourself to them. The two things that can kill us are our attachments and expectations. Be responsible for the thoughts that you choose to hold and to carry. What are you choosing to think about? And when you're thinking about it, be like, do I really want to think about this? Is this what I want to focus on? Is this helping me? Like, try to wake yourself up in that moment and be like, whoa, wait, what am I doing? Is this productive? If the answer is no, move on to another thought. Focus on something. Smell your essence to get you into a new direction. Eliminate negativity. See the world the way that you want to see it. So, beautiful thing our teacher, Dr. Levry, has taught recently, and it's an obvious one, but it's a beautiful one. The first thing in the morning, touch your forehead, close your eyes. This is our frontal lobe. This is our higher thinking center. And just see your day unfolding in the greatest good of all. Like, what's the best things that can happen with all the things you need to do in that day, and see it. See the people, the interactions, the positivity, see the abundance, see the love, see the health and the happiness. And then he says the rest of your day, you're just kind of watching that movie unfold. You're getting to see what you've already created, which is beautiful. We are the creators, remember that. See the oneness between you and all living beings. Believe that you can create a safe and healing world with your own thoughts, words, attitudes, actions, and feelings. Believe it. Whatever we believe, we become. So what are we focusing on? What are we manifesting? What are we creating? Be that change. Believe it. You are beautiful. You're part of all of creation. I see us as like, they say that God-man is called Adam Cadman. It's like made of all the atoms of every living species, and it's in this one being. We are that one being. So we hurt ourselves, we hurt our environment, we hurt others. We're hurting the whole. It's not just us. When we help, when we nurture, when we thrive together, we're all rising, and no matter what, this planet is ascending. Like, there's a thing called the Schumann resonance. It's a vibration on the planet that kind of tells the frequency of the planet. And since, I think it was 2019, there's been like a spike, like a major spike. It was January 2019 that it was recorded like, whoa, Schumann resonance is really shifting. And people have been saying, hey, the Earth is ascending. There's an ascension process happening on the Earth. It is happening, and the Earth will vibrate at a higher level. If we don't match that level, then we have to go. So where are we bringing our frequency up each day in our lives? Are we feeding our mind with things that are high vibration? What's our emotional diet? What are we bringing into the 7 sacred holes that are in our head? 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth, to only speak truth, only speak love, and speak half the amount that we do all these other things with. So aligning our frequency with that, using the plants, the trees, the essences, the animals, the nature that's around us to help us to just keep going up, 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 so we can align with the earth and we can help to bring these positive shifts inside and outside. Does that sound like a plan?
Deal. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Rub your palms together. We're going to tune out and stop the video, and then we'll take questions or comments or whatever you want to talk about.
We're going to put our link in the comment section for YouTube when it gets to that point. So just look down below, and then all that good stuff.
How to find us, how to find our essences,
Subscribe and
yoga,
like and all that stuff.
Kabbalah, all these things that we do. Bring your hands to your heart, close your eyes. Just take a moment to be silent with your heart in gratitude and love for Creator, the great architect of the universe we call love, wisdom, and truth. extend love and gratitude from your heart out from Creator to all of creation, to all life forms, known, unknown, seen, and unseen. Send your love and your gratitude as we are one. Take a deep breath. Hold the breath, hold that gratitude, hold that love. And exhale, let it all go. And we'll end how we began with one Om. Smile, take a deep breath. Bless, bless, bless. Thank you for being here. We love you, we honor you, and we hope to see you in person very soon, if not sooner. Be healthy, be happy, be positive. Life is good. Peace.